Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls and whoever you may be out there today. Hope you're all well. Hope you've had a fantastic week. It is Sunday evening. It is 6 o'clock, which means it's time for our live show. We're going live on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram, which we've only just started doing in the last couple of weeks. Do want to say, if you are in the Facebook group, I have shared it to the Facebook group. I may not be able to see what you're saying. Now, coming up today, I want to talk about what tools you have that you never use. We all have them, don't we? We have these tools that we've bought from a garden centre. We've looked at them. We think, oh, yeah, they're going to be fantastic. We're going to use those. We're going to use them all the time. They're going to make our life easier. And they've sat there in the shed not being used. Why is that? That's something I want to explore. Before we get into it, let's see if anybody is out there. So over on Instagram, a couple of people have joined. I can see Jamie's Little Allotment and the Kintish Gardener has joined. Hello to you. Please do feel free to join in the chat. And over on the other channels, we've got Adrian out there saying hello to myself and all. Hello to you. We've got Turbo Stream saying good evening, Veg Podcasters. Good evening to you. Allotted Chef in brackets, Nathan is there saying evening all. Good evening to you. Anna Jones is there. Evening, gardeners. It's been tipping it down again today. What a surprise. It's been quite pleasant here, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Kate Spratt says, good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. We've got IB, Ian Beddoes, saying Bruno Dias Amigos. Bruno Dias Amigos. I hope I'm saying that correct, but probably not knowing me. We've got Hargrave Gas. Evening all. Hope you've had a great week. Nice to get some warm and dry weather finally. Indeed. We'll get into that in just a moment. Stuart Jackson. Evening, Richard and the Veg Army. Why do we get one dry day, then 3 wet days? I just want to get on my veg patch. Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get into that a little bit later on. IB says so much for spell check. It happens, doesn't it? Nigel is there saying good evening all. What a glorious day. Good evening to you. Just quickly checking over on Instagram. Amanda's Allotment is there, and Annie Traveling Craft and Reading is there. Hello to you. Please do feel free to join in the comments. Amanda says, evening all. Sorry if you get a duplicate comments. I posted on Facebook, then heard you say you may not get the message. We have had a warm, sunny weather in Leeds today. 18 degrees. What a treat. Philly SBB is good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Bumblebee Adventure, hello, with a B on the end. Hello to you. Joe's Patch, hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Scott is that I'm on the way back from a day out at Brands Hatch, so we'll be dipping in and out. Hope everyone has had a great week. Good evening to you. We can see Amanda on Facebook there. Hello, everyone, says Jenny. Good hello to you. Yeah, we can see. You're obviously in the Facebook page, not the group. Just to explain, Facebook have changed their sort of setup where we can no longer stream into the groups. So it's very complicated, but we're working through it. That's why we've started to go. We started to go through the old Facebook, the Instagram instead. Stuart Jackson, my little dibber. I always use a pencil instead, which I feel most of us do the same. Great start to getting this conversation going about the tools we don't use. He doesn't use a dibber. Anna Jones says, have you had your water cut off, Richard? Not to my knowledge. Water was I did before I went live. I did just fill the kettle up to make a cup of coffee, so I assume we're okay for water. But is there something going on that I don't know about? So let's get into it. Let's get into this conversation and let's find out what tools you have that you never use. As I said at the beginning, we all have done it. We've gone into a garden centre. We thought to ourselves, we're going to go and use this tool all the time. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be really pay off, and it's going to be a great thing. And then it comes to it. Sometimes it's too fiddly to use when we actually try and use it. Sometimes it's just awkward. Other times it's just not what we were looking for. And those are the sort of things that I found that sometimes causes issues when it comes to some of these tools. Now, Stuart Jackson, as I said, he's already said that his little dipper always uses a pencil instead, which he feels most of us do the same. I've got to admit, I am the type that does use a dibber. Reason being is that I hate it when a pencil just sort of a pencil for me. I'm a bit fastidious. Pencil for me, I want it for writing, and using it as a dibber can lead it to rot. But that's just me. That is just me. Have a quick check on Instagram. Lots of people joining in. Amanda says it's still viewable on Facebook. You just have to click watch live. Yeah, it's all very complicated. As I said, that's why we're on Instagram at the same time. Digwell says, not stopping Star Wars quiz tonight. Just popped in to say unlucky to Rob Spurs, LOL. Has there been a football match on? As I said, I don't follow football, but lovely to see you anyway, Digwell. I know you're a big Star Wars fan. It's May the 5th, not May the 4th, though. Turbo Extreme says water was off in East Sussex, I think. And Anna Jones, burst water main in Sussex all over the news. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard about it. It's obviously not affected me. So that's interesting. Obviously, as I know, I don't have a TV, so I have not caught up with that bit of news. Now, Turbo Stream says, my least used tools are a garden rake. I gave my home one to my nephew when I was in Yorkshire last year. That's interesting. Why don't you use a garden rake? What is it about it that has stopped you from using your garden rake? Now, I've got to admit, I do use a soil rake. There's different types of rakes, isn't there? You've got your grass rake and you've got a soil rake, just to name a couple. I use my soil rake quite regularly. If I've just mulched, I like to spread it around with my rake. So what is it? Why isn't it you don't use? What is it about it that you don't use? Let us know. Kate says, I love my Wolf Garden tools, but the soil miller hasn't been used yet. Funny enough, yes, I went through this stage many, many years ago where I brought loads and loads of old tools, and I got them because I just thought they look fantastic. They're going to be amazing little plants to use, little tools to use, and it was like the soil miller. I thought that would be great for breaking up large clumps of soil. For those that don't know, it's like it's like two wheels on the end of a long stick, a bit like a hoe, and you run it through the soil, and it just sort of churns up the soil. And it's quite shallow, but it just churns it up to try and get a nice fine tilth. But again, it is a bit of hard work to try and use and doesn't always get used. So I'm with you on that. Allotted Chef, since I purchased a Hori, I don't use a mini spade or fork. I've got to with it. Hori is a great tool, isn't it? It's taken over from the use of many tools in my garden. I've got a Hori, which is pretty much my everyday use, and it does use it as a mini spade, a trowel, a fork, cutting things. It's such a useful tool. Just going to check on Instagram. No, nothing going on over on Instagram just yet. I got a dandelion pillar. There, me get my words out. I got a dandelion pillar for 10p in the Wilco sale. Never used a damn thing once. I mean, 10p is not bad, is it? Did I bring it up with me or did I leave it downstairs? I think I've left it down indoors, but I'll grab it in a second. But I had a similar thing. I thought this weeding tool, it's a corkscrew reader. Thought I was going to use it a lot, and I never used it once. Moneyboot says, my least used tool is a spade. I tend to use a 5-prong fork 90% of the time. That's interesting. A lot of people are moving away from their spades these days. I do know that. I still do use a spade, I will admit, for digging and things. I mean, I don't dig my soil. I tend to just, if I'm putting a plant out, that's when I dig. But a fork does tend to do a better job, doesn't it? You can get it into the ground a little bit better. Turbo Stream says, I've never used it. I inherited a 3-time tiller when my friend passed away. It's much better, I find. I am no dig at home, so I haven't used it. A 3-time, is that like the cultivator, like the three-pronged fork thing that you rake through the soil to... I'll talk, of course, I've just worked out what he was on about, Turbo Stream. Turbo Stream, of course, not using the rake. So That's what he's walking about. The free time tiller is better than using a rake. That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. Anne says, like Kate, I love my wolf tools, but I've never used a trowel attachment. Prefer to use my Peter trowel. However, have used a soil miller a lot. Interesting. I know a lot of you people do like the wolf garden tools, the interclickable ones. They're not something I've got myself, but you guys do like them a lot. Just wetting the whistle slightly. Anna Jones says, I rarely ever use my anvil secateurs, much prefer the bypass ones, which seems to give a cleaner cut. Interesting. So for those that don't know, so you get two different types of secateurs. The anvil ones cuts like that, whereas the bypass one, they cut like that, as the name suggests. They pass each other and they get a cleaner cut. I've got to admit, I think the bypass ones do give a much cleaner cut. I will say that. The anvil ones, I think anvil ones are better for something that is tough. So something that you need to get a bit of work on. Different tools for different jobs, isn't it? Nigel says, I love the Wolf soil miller. Great for loosening the soil of the surface of compacted soil. We've got a lot of that at the moment. A lot of compacted soil here in Littlehampton. Clay soil at the end of the day, though, isn't it? Clay soil just, and with all the rain and everything we have, it's just really got it horribly compacted and what have you. Stuart says, I got a pair of lawn shoes a couple of years ago. They were used once and put away, never to be used again, as they don't work very well. Lawn shoes. Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I have a pair of old boots by my back door just to run out with. Lawn shoes. Yeah. I'm terrible for that sort of thing, though. Toby Stream says, I don't use a spade much either, mainly used for spreading compost. I only use a spade to dig up parsnips. Interesting. Ian McCragan has joined. Hi, Richard. No, funny story. As you know, I went to Bewley on Friday for Spring Fair, and we spoke about this last week, and I think I said to you all last week, if you were going, we would meet up about 1 o'clock by the grass verge, thinking the grass verge would be quite a clear, obvious thing to make a meeting point out of. I've been to Bewley. This would have been my 4th year, I think, running. It must be 4th years. I can't remember. But this grass verge, I've always noticed it. It ran along the main path and it kind of separated to 2 different areas. I thought, and it was a long grass verge. It was probably 200 meters. Well, I went this year and that grass verge had been demolished, cut down, dug out. I don't know what happened to it. It had gone. And being in Bewley, we don't get phone signals, so I couldn't let anybody know where we were going to meet. But luckily, I did see the Chili's, but Ian missed out, I'm afraid. So apologies for that, Ian. Shame. It would have been good to keep up. Typical. It was there for the last 3 years, and you don't expect a grass bank to disappear, do you? It was a good 5-foot high bank as well. It was a tall thing. Nigel says, anvil secateurs are good provided they are kept sharp. Otherwise, they just crush the stem and damage it. I think that's the same with any secateur or any cutting tool. You've got to keep them sharp. I say that a lot with any tool. Keep them sharp and they will last a long time. Do a better job and they are safer. A sharp knife is much safer than a blunt knife. Yes, Time Extreme says yes, the 3-time cultivator. I couldn't remember the name of it. That I know exactly what you're talking about. They are good. They are very, very good. Yeah, Ian says I was looking for the grass blank. Time Extreme says I brought a pair of rubber shoes. They were too big, so I haven't used them as my feet fall out of them as I walk. Useless. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I'm size 12. I've got big feet, so trying to find shoes that actually fit me can be a real challenge. Graham Bolton has joined. He says, hi, honey, I'm home. Well done. Welcome along. Just seeing anything going on Instagram. Nothing going on there. Just lots of people watching. Lovely to see you. Now, Graham says, "Hi, Richard. Hi, guys." Now, I had a suggestion. I tried to find it earlier of a tool that I bought years and years ago. Actually, it was a Christmas present from my little brother and sister years and years ago. And I tried to find it and before we went live, but I couldn't find it. And it was a plastic sort of thing. It was about that long, and it was basically a seed sower. So you would put your seeds in, you would share them out, and you would different coloured tops for the different types of seeds. But basically, they would have holes at the right distance apart, so that you slide it over, and it would drop those seeds at the right distance. I bought this years and years. I was gifted this years and years ago because I thought it was going to be a great thing to use in the garden. Going to get those carrot seeds just at the right distance. I got it. I used it once on my old allotment, and I came away with a bad back trying to do a whole row of carrots in this thing that was 30 centimeters long. Just leaning over, trying to use it. It hurt a lot. I thought it was going to be a great idea, but it hurt my back so much that I never used it since. And I was thinking when we were got the idea of this subject, talking about tools that we never use. That was the first thing in my brain, or the first thing that came to my mind that I thought of an ideal example of something that we never use. But then I've been thinking about it, and I've sort of thought that the main problem with it was that it was a little bit fiddly. I'll be honest. It did take a bit of a challenge to try and get it to work. But the main problem with it was the fact that I was leaning over on the ground trying to use it, and I figured in a raised bed such as the veggie pod, it's probably going to be a bit better. I was hoping to try and make a video. I just couldn't find it to use it. But we'll keep an eye out. If I find it, we will see how it works in something like the veggie pot. I think that's a key thing when it comes to some of these tools. We buy them, we think we're going to use them, we end up finding them too fiddly or something. Then something presents itself and you actually find that that tool might come into use. Turbo Stream says, "I'm a size 8. They were a size 8, but feel like a size 10," talking about these lawn shoes. "Probably will pop them on the sharing bench with a note." At least they don't get wasted if you do that. At least they don't get wasted if you do that, indeed. Turbo Stream says, "Nigel, I tried 2 pairs of socks, but still too big." Talking about these lawn shoes. Graham says, "Remember to hit the like button, guys, please. It helps the channel." Yes, please do give us a like. Please do give us a follow and subscribe and click the notification so you know when we go live. Nigel says, "A seed sowing ruler. I made a much larger version for spacing out my plants." Yes, it was a bit like a seed spacing ruler, except it was much more fiddly. I've made seed spacing rulers in the past, but this was just fiddly. As I said, it was like 30 centimeters, which when you're trying to do a bed that might be 2.4 meters, it takes a lot out of you. I think the biggest problem was the fact that I ended up with just a pain in the back after using it. Bumblebee Adventure says, "Got so many tools over the years and always use the same ones. Slowly gifting all the double tools away to new members, trying to keep my she shed, nice." I know exactly what you mean. I have, again, a few years ago, I got on this thing where I was going through eBay and I found people that were selling loads and loads of basically a load of tools. They'd obviously cleared out a shed of something, as somebody had passed away or something. They cleared out the shed and they just sold it as a job lot. So I brought loads of these old tools, wooden handles, loved them to bits. I ended up with so many spades and shovels. I don't need them. I did not need them. That being said, I've always believed it's good to have 2 of the tools that you use a lot of: forks, spades, hoes. Trying to think of another example. I suppose those are the three main ones: spade, fork, and hoe are probably the three most used tools. The reason I would always want to have two of those, or three in my case, I would want to have one at home, one down the allotment, and one as a spare just in case one of those breaks. I'm a big fan. I'm a I'm a big fan of having tools that actually last, but tools do break from time to time. And if you're trying to plant a tree out and you need to do it right then, it's a Sunday afternoon, for example, your spade breaks. What are you going to do? Run to a garden centre? Garden centre might be shut. You know, I'm just want to get that thing planted. So sometimes I think it's good to have doubles, but we do end up with too many sometimes. Stuart Jackson says that, yes, I have a seed wheel, which I, again, only used once. That's why I have hands and fingers. Yeah, exactly. A seed wheel. I guess that's the type of thing you'd run across the ground, and a bit like the farmers would use on the back of their tractors, drops a seed in at the correct locations. I'm guessing that's what the idea was. Jenny says, sorry guys, unexpected visitors have arrived. Got to dash. I'll catch up on the video. Take care, everyone. Take care, Jenny. Lovely to see you. These things happen, don't they? Anna Jones says, are lawn spiking shoes what Stu meant? Shoes with spikes on. You walk around on them and spike the lawn. I think you're talking about Turbo Stream with the lawn shoes. I don't think so, but I'm sure he can correct us. I think what he's talking about is a pair of like clogs that were just to be kept by the back door so he could just quickly slip them on and run it out. That was what I thought, but he can let us know. Turbo Stream says, I bought a hand 3-time cultivator. Brilliant thing, but I've mislaid it in the garden. £1.50 from Poundland. So I'll try and get another one. Graham says, bye, Jenny. Turbo Stream, I bought one of those green seed sowing devices from Wilco's. It's useless, but glad it only cost 29p. Are those like tubes for seed sowing that you sort of put a load of seed in? It's got like a funnel at the end, and you just gently use a single seed to try and ease it out. They are pretty useless. Similar, actually, do you remember? I can't remember when it was. I bought like a seed syringe, so I called it. It was the idea was that you would pull it in the soil, push a button, and it would eject a single seed out. I tried that, and it ended up injecting more than just one seed. I want to get another one of those that actually works, just to speed up our time sowing seeds. Anybody knows a good one? Let me know. Graham says, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That was my stance. If it broke, only certain tools, I would say, it fall into that remit. Ian says, I've used spike long shoes, but you must use a stick so you don't fall over and the straps do become loose. Yeah, I think the idea, those were for like spikes on the bottom of the shoes. So you would walk across your lawn to try and aerate it, and they dig in and what have you. I've never used them myself. It seemed like a bit of a fad. I don't know if they still exist. Ian Meadows, always use the same ones and they seem better than any new ones. I'm not sure what he's talking about there, but I'll think about it. Nigel says, Wolf made a seed wheel in their quick change range. I really do think I need to one day get into the seed, the Wolf tools, because you guys speak so highly of them. Nicholas says, sorry I'm late. Had to reinforce the pig fencing once again. Think they are safe now, I think. I think they are Houdini, sorry. They do have a tendency to get out. If anybody's seen Clarkson's Farm, just released on Friday, it's going on with pigs now as well. Turbo Stream says, no, my shoes were like wellies without the leg bit. Would be great if they were the correct size, especially in winter. Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought, like a slip-on pair of shoes. I've got a couple of welly boots that fall into that circumstance, into that remit as well. Again, I just keep them by the back door for when I want to run out there. Nigel says, I think the lawn spike shoes are similar to golf shoes with longer spikes used to aerate the lawn. Yeah, absolutely right. I think after all the rain we've had recently, you could do with a bit of aeration in the lawn. Though we were talking about the weather earlier in the opening, so see what's happening. Anything going on Instagram? Nothing. A lot of people joining. Ingrid Grows and Eats. Hello to you. We've got all about Lottie joining there. Carrie's allotment, and Ian is over there as well, apparently. Kate says, one thing I use to sow the seeds are those glass jars that herbs come in with the holes on the top. Oh, so you just shake the seeds in like the pepper shakers. They're good. That's a good trick actually, or good way of sowing seeds. Broadcast sowing anyway. I just want one that, like, because I do a lot of plug plant seed sowing. It would be good just to be able to go along each plug plant and go. I'm just going to use this as an example. Go, click one seed, click one seed, and move on. It would be great to try. Perhaps that's what I need to design. My brother's got a printer, and I might have asked him about that. Rob's Allotment Garden, good evening all. Hope you've had a great day. You have missed a comment I think was left for you from Digwell, something about Spurs losing. I don't know much about it. I don't follow football. Turbo Stu says, my compost tumbler thing never gets used either. Now used to store my nets. Was useless as a compost. Interesting. Compost tumbler. I've had my eye on one for a while, but I think it was you that said you didn't get on well with them and decided to give up on it. But that might be something I'll look into in the future again to see if it really does work out, or if it is really as crap as you say. Experience and different uses are an interesting arrangement, aren't they? Graham says, I still have some lawn spike shoes. Never used them, to be honest. There we go. That's what we wanted to find out. Things that you have that you've never used. Ian says you can still buy the spike shoes. They do help to aerate the lawns. The spikes are about 3 inches. You won't want to get kicked with somebody wearing a pair of those, would you? If that's sort of the spike thing. I was worried. Again, this is why I believe in trying to keep the shed neat and tidy, which is easier said than done. But things like those spiked shoes, always got to have them somewhere safe in the shed, just in case you fall over and land on them. It makes me sort of cringe when I think about that in some ways. Turbo Stream says, Nigel over from Amazon. Anna Jones, I've given up using our strimmer. Just can't get the hang of it. I just end up slicing huge chunks out of a lawn, leaving a real mess. I use hand shears on the weedy bits instead. Interesting. Funnily enough, my wife and I, we are looking at buying a new lawnmower. My lawnmower I've had for a few years, not as long as I would expect it to last, but it's starting to become a little bit of a problem. So we're looking at getting a new lawnmower and a strimmer at the same time. Probably going to order it this evening, to be honest with you. I love a strimmer. I never have a problem with it tearing out chunks. I wonder what type of strimmer you've got that takes out huge chunks of your lawn. There must be a powerful one to do that. Interesting. Let us know what type of strimmer you have, Anna. That would be great. Nicholas says, pigs have done that for me, but a bit like a rotator. When they got out, I had one in my hallway as I'd left the door open. It happens, doesn't it? Pigs are incredibly intelligent animals. They're great if you can use them to clear away weeds and things like brambles and stuff, if you can use them. Bethan says, evening all, sorry I'm late. I was in the garden. Is it still nice weather for you then, Bethan? I'm guessing it must be if you are still out in the garden. Graham says, busy on the plot, Rob, after the rain, it's like a forest. Yeah, a lot of rain at the moment. Get a Ryobi. I've got a Ryobi. That's exactly what I stick with. I said my Ryobi lawnmower I got in 2020, but it's just starting to throw up a few little problems. It'll run like 75% of my garden was cut, or 75% of my allotment was cut, and then it'll just stop working for some reason. It's not the batteries. We're not sure what's going on. I do treat my lawnmowers quite harshly. Nicholas says, my mum bought me some plastic clips for a runner beam frame, but as bamboo is regular size, so didn't use it still in the garden stuff, maybe 30 years ago. Always makes me laugh, isn't it? I spoke about this on the Supporters Club podcast the other night, how it was I think I said it was my birthday last week. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but as gardeners, people will see these things in a garden centre, or maybe not even a garden centre. They just think it's a great thing for the garden and buy you it as a present. I'm trying to think of some examples of stuff that falls into that category. But as people like ourselves who garden a lot, we do a lot of gardening. What we find with that is that it's just not quite what we want it for. It's just not as good as what we would use it for, and would sooner not have it. Trying to choose my words very carefully because I don't want to sound ungrateful at all, but there are gardening gifts and there are gardening gifts. Turbo Stream update on his lettuce seeds. They never grow, but a miracle has occurred. My little gem I potted on has survived and is growing. Fantastic stuff. He has got one lettuce growing. Good enough. Good enough. Ian says, are you looking for a battery or electric mower and trimmer? Battery. We know the ones we're getting. It's Ryobi because I've set it all up for Ryobi with the batteries, the chargers, and everything like that. Turbo Stream says, I was thinking of getting a cheap second-hand lawnmower for the allotment, but the strimmer works okay. That's what I'll be doing with our current lawnmower, is leaving it down the allotment to deal with stuff on the allotment instead. Stuart Jackson says, I have a small fly mower that never comes out the shed, as the other mower is much better and better. I've got a petrol lawnmower still in my shed, but I don't use it anymore. It was my father-in-law's, and he gave it to me. It's a decent one, but we don't use it anymore. I probably should get rid of it. An old Bosch one, I think. That must be powerful to check out so many chunks of the of the lawn. Bethan says the weather has been lovely today. Was at Bewley yesterday and the weather was fab. I missed you. I was there on Friday. Did you have a good time? Did you have a good time at Bewley? I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. Ian says, can you send them over for repair? I can repair it myself. They're so simple. I've just got to figure out what's wrong with it. But my wife, we were planning to get a new lawnmower anyway. So my wife sort of said, let's get one for at home. And then I can leave this one down on the allotment once I've repaired it. Graham says the weather is good until a week Tuesday by the looks of it on the satellite readings. Let's hope it stays that way. Turbo Student says, I once bought some circular things to make a wigwam from bamboo canes. The holes were too small for the canes. Another useless Wilco purchase. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Those sort of things that you think they're going to be fantastic. They're going to make our lives so much easier. They're going to hold our wigwams in place. And it never does work out like that. It's slightly annoying, but it does happen. Just checking it over on Instagram. We are talking about tools that you have that you never use. Now, one thing that I think we're going to do the mission. Talk about the mission. Last week, you set me the mission. A good one, actually, to find 5 veg-related things at Bewley. And I think I'd done it because I thought I had a good look and there was so much there. I've got to admit, there was so much at Bewley. I could have done with another 3-4 hours there, but really good day. Lots of things to see. So the first thing that I obviously found was Bewley's vegetable garden. I always try and make a trip to this vegetable garden. It's absolutely fantastic. I know we often think of Bewley being the motor museum, but there is a house and gardens there as well. And we can visit all 3 of those on the same ticket, including a show as well. I love it. Love the vegetable garden there. It's a little bit early in the season, but it was interesting to see what was planted out. There was a vegetable garden display. This was done by the National Vegetable Society. A little bit bland, I guess you could say, but at the same time, it was a vegetable garden display. There wasn't any other vegetable gardens on the or show gardens that I could see, but they did have a few edibles scattered in amongst some of the other gardens as well. Moving on from that, quick hose. They were there. I actually got myself some of these quick hoses. These are the type of thing you might use if you use a hose pipe quite often. What makes them unique is how they attach together and hold on to the hose pipe slightly bit differently. If you do use a hose pipe, I rarely use a hose pipe, but if I do use a hose pipe, I want it to really hold it together. Now, this is something I brought as well. It's an oller. If you don't know what an oller is, it's basically you sink this in the ground around your bed, in your plants, you fill it up with water, and the water slowly trickles through that terracotta pot and into the ground around. So it keeps your plants watered for longer. This is something I've had my eye on for quite a while. They were selling them at Bewley, brought myself one, and I'm going to be trying it out very, very soon. So I was very happy with that. They weren't badly priced. That one was $19.99 for the medium, if I remember correctly. They did a small one that was a bit cheaper and a large one that was a bit more expensive. But I thought I'll get a medium one just for one bed and see how it works out. We're going to keep an eye on it. And if it works out well, we might get some more in the future. Now, the final thing, number 5 on this list, was my hydroponics. This is from West Kent, 5-pod hydroponic system. I also bought this at Gardeners World Live. I'm not sure what I'm going to plant into it yet, but I've got this going and playing around with it to see what we can do with it. Again, that was the mission, to find five vegetable gardening related things at Gardeners World Spring Fair. I think I passed. That's up to you guys to let me know if that is mission accomplished or mission failed. And of course, we need a mission for next week as well, a challenge for next week. So let's check it out. Nothing on Instagram. And let's see. So, where were we? Turbo Stream says Wilco used to sell some good stuff, but also a lot of rubbish. I feel the same with Poundland at the moment. The Poundland can sometimes sell some reasonably okay stuff. You get what you pay for, don't you? But they can also sell a lot of rubbish. But then so can garden centres. So that's not really a fair comparison. Bethan says, talking about Bewley, yes, I really enjoyed it. Mike and the children came where they had fun too, as there were so many stalls to look at. There was a lot there. I've got to say, the spring fair every year seems to be getting bigger. And this year it really was so much bigger, so much more. I mean, I went on Friday. Friday is normally a fairly quieter day, but it was so much more busy and buzzing and so many things to go on and do. I normally, at these events, I normally try and talk to like Lucy and Saul. They were so busy, I didn't have the chance to. So I was talking to them for a couple of minutes, and they had to go and do their talks and stuff. I was carrying watering cans for them to try and help them out as well. It was so busy for them. But yeah, really good show. Really enjoyed it. There's a video coming out, and you hear more on the podcast as well. Kate says, I want an Ola. Yeah, I can't remember the company, but I really liked them. Really like them, and we'll see how well they get on in some beds this year. How much was your Ola? I think it was just under 20 quid, 19.99. If I remember correctly, or was it 16.9? No, 19.99. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Rob says, passed with credit. That was mission accomplished. Thank you very much. And Nicholas says, I saw an earlier which you can link to an irrigation. Interesting. I've not seen that, but this is what I mean about trying to make our vegetable garden simple and easy and effective. if these work, then all well and good. It's going to be fantastic to see just what happens. Now, of course, that was the mission for this week. If you guys have another mission or a thought of a mission for next week, then please do get sharing. So coming back to some tools that you have never used, anybody got anything else you want to add or anything like that? I'm sure we've all got tools that we have never used. It's got to be there. I'm just trying to make sure everything is ready to go. Have a quick check on Instagram. Nothing over there at the moment. Anybody watching on Instagram, please do join in the conversation. Nicholas says, put my thumbs up. Yeah, please do give us a like and a grow. It was only a lovely Greens video based on the Isle of Man. Yeah, I'll check that out. And see what we can do with that in the future. So, any other tools that you have brought that you never ever used? I can't think of any that I have. I mean, I've gone through stages where I've bought new tools and I've used them a lot and then I've not used them again. One of my examples, I bought myself, it was actually in one of those packs I was talking about earlier, where I got from eBay, where somebody was clearing out a shed basically. And in there was a scythe, which I used a lot for cutting the grass on the allotment at the time. But that, unfortunately, it got used a lot and then didn't use it again. So that falls into that category of something that is thrown into never to be used again. I can't think of anything else that falls into that category, though. Anything else that falls into that category? Obviously, I mean, I've got all these tools behind me, which we do use quite often. I describe this as a set, so these are more for show at the moment, but we replace them every year. So next year, these will get used a lot more out in the garden. But these are for show. But things like, I mean, I love this tool. I've got, let me bring it up for you. This tool, a perennial spade. I actually have one of these out in the garden that I use as well. These are brilliant. I know they probably didn't think they were going to be such a good selling tool. They are brilliant. They've got that nice sharp blade, but because of the way it's shaped, you throw it into the soil, it really does cut through roots and things like that really, really well. Love this tool. Absolutely love this tool. It's up there with my what's the other one we were talking about earlier? My hori knife as being one of the most useful tools to have. I don't use my half moon very much. That's interesting, actually, because I use my half moon quite a bit for edging my lawn. But we've got a stone in cement, basically, path that goes around the edge of our lawn. And the grass does have a tendency to grow over it. I try and strip it back where I can, but I do use my half moon a lot for edging. I think that's all a half moon is really useful, though, isn't it? It's one of those tools that doesn't have a second use. I can only think it's used for edging. If anybody else has an idea of what they might use a half moon spade for, let us know. Nicholas says the 4-pronged weeder. I hated it. Why did you hate the 4-pronged weeder? Because we were talking earlier about the 3-pronged weeder that was very popular. What was it that you didn't like about that? Let us know. Let us know indeed. Right. I'm going to throw up one of the video I've got for this week. Actually, it's the only video. It's the sow along, which this week was chosen by you to sow beans. Right, I let you guys decide what seeds we were going to sow this week, and you decided some beans, and you decided you wanted me to do some different varieties of beans, and that's what I'm doing. So what we're starting off with is I have got my root trainers to grow beans in, or to start beans off in. At this time of year, we could probably actually get away with sowing them directly outside in the ground where they are to grow, but there's very few seeds I like to do that with. What I find with these root trainers, they are brilliant for things like beans, because you just plant them out in, open the book up, and very little root disturbance. And being that these ones are quite long, they get plenty of room to make some roots in the meantime. So we've got multi-purpose compost in here, and what we're going to do is just take the seeds. First of all, I'm going to do a runner bean. This is a variety called Lady Di, quite a popular one. We don't really eat many runner beans here, if I'm honest with you, but well, we're going to give it a try. And we've also got a French bean by the name of Blue Lake. I do quite like French beans. There's something we will be eating and growing a lot of. But there's many other seeds that we can do, such as the Belotti beans and things like that as well. We're basically, over this next week or two, going to be sowing those like mad. And in fact, you can actually sow some of these even as late as July. So simple enough to sow, just pop them into the ground. Being a big seed, we go about 2 centimeters deep, maybe a bit longer, depending on what the type of bean is. And we just sow one per station, well, that's what I do anyway, until all the seeds are used up. And that's pretty much the same with the French beans, except the French beans I would go a little bit shallower, about 1 centimeter deep. Don't forget the labels, of course. That is very, very important. Now, the great thing about these root trainers is that once they are all sown, we just place them on the side and they will be there. We can water them straight into that, and that will suit them until they germinate. We can, of course, put a lid over as well. These are all things that we can do to improve germination. Now, once they are germinated, we will harden them off and try and get them into the ground where they are to grow. Most of these are going to be down on the allotment, but we will, of course, have a few at home. Now, if you don't have much space, or you might be growing in a veggie pod, there are some dwarf varieties that you could use as well, and they are pretty good, I've got to say. We do try and eat quite a few of the dwarfing varieties from time to time, or grow some in some tight areas. Now, once they are planted, we just keep them well watered. I don't really bother feeding too much our beans, because they're a legume. They do fix nitrogen from the surface, and what we really want to do is encourage that nitrogen into the soil. So we'll harvest our beans, and then once we have finished, we just cut them off. Now, you could be growing beans for eating when they're a little bit tender, like most of us, but you could, of course, leave them on the vine for a little bit longer to dry out, and then you save them and eat those as dried beans as well, like what we've done with our Belotti beans. Well worth doing, well worth growing, and it saves a lot of space. So if you've got any tips on how to grow beans or anything you want to add to it, let us know in the comments right now. Right, back to the studio. Indeed, back to the studio. And I've just ran back out to the shed to get one of those tools that I said I've never used. It is this. It is it is called a hand corkscrew weeder. I've never used it, and I kind of don't really see the point in it. I guess the idea is you would go to something like a dandelion, and you twist it around into the soil, and then you can pull out the root. I'm guessing that's what it's there for, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it, or if it's a tool I'm going to use a lot of. So back to the comments. Rob's Allotment Garden. I bought a leaf blower once, but not got any trees in the garden. Funny enough, when I first moved into this house, we had a sycamore tree out in our back garden. I cut it down, but the first winter it did put loads and loads of leaves all over the place. So I thought, great, we can use those leaves for leaf mold. I just need to get a leaf blower or vacuum to suck it all up. So I found one on eBay. It was something like a £5, secondhand. It was a petrol one. It just needed a bit of work to get it running, which basically was just the fuel pipes had deteriorated. So I replaced the fuel pipes, got it running, And it's sat in the shed not being used. That's another thing that's going to have to go. It's going to have to go. I've got to the point these days now where I just want to get rid of stuff that I don't use. Nicholas says the four-pronged weeder, just hard work. That's why she didn't use it. Turbo Stream says, my strimmer turns through 90 degrees. It's the best thing ever for edging lawns, so my lawn shears never get used. Yeah, you're obviously lucky because my lawn grows so quick and the soil in my garden rises and falls in different places that the grass then takes over the paths. That's why edging it is easier with a half moon. Got to do that soon, actually. Beto says leaf blowers keep keep the kids happy with a light football. It's not really a garden tool, then, is it? But it's a lot of fun. Or somebody I know used to come out with it on stage and blast all his audience with confetti and things like that, using it. I mean, why not? Why not? Anna Jones says, I don't use a leaf blower much either. Much easier to use a rake on the lawn and brush on the paths. Interesting. So that's very interesting that the leaf blower seems to be a product that everyone or a lot more people seem to agree it's not worth it. I think that's probably one of the most common tools, isn't it? That we're going to say today. Turbo Stream says, I did a massive sow along this morning, including beans, spring onions, and some nasturtiums. Good stuff. Good stuff. It is a bank holiday after all, so why not make the most of it? And my second try at French beans, the first lot failed. It has been a cold start to the year. It still is, I think, a bit too cold. I don't know what the weather is going to be like for the next few days here, but I think it's still been a bit too cold. Huge wine bottle screw. It does look a bit like it, doesn't it? It does look like a bit of a wine corkscrew, doesn't it? I want that bottle of wine that corkscrew can happen. Yeah. That's don't drink, but that's quite a significant large bottle of wine if you were to use it. Moneyboot says worth checking. Some leaf blowers have a reverse and make a great mulch for leaves. That's what I got mine for, funny enough. So it would suck up all these leaves from this sycamore tree. It would chop them up, and then I could just put them straight into a bin, ready for use as chopped up mulch. What's leaf mold? That was the idea behind it, but we got rid of that tree in the end. So didn't really have much. I've still got a couple more trees, but the leaves we get out of them are so few, it's not worth it. So I'm probably going to have to get rid of that thing fairly soon. Just checking anything going on over on Instagram. Nothing on Instagram. Very quiet again on Instagram. Well, it's early days for Instagram, isn't it? So right, coming back. I need a mission for next week, a challenge or something that you guys can set for me to do over this next week. Got nothing in the diary that I can think of, but anything you can challenge me with, I can do. It'd be quite fun. As I said, a few things. I'm going to set up the Yola tomorrow anyway. But I have got that hydroponics kit. If you've got anything you think I could grow in the hydroponics. Nicholas says, apart from sweet peppers and chilies, I've not had the mojo to plant anything else. A lot of people have been having that trouble over this winter, but it will soon bounce back. It will soon bounce back. I think it's just been a cold, wet start to the year. But once we start bringing all those plants and food in from the allotment, our gardens, it makes it all worthwhile. Don't give up just yet. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Turbo Stream says, I normally sow beans direct, but tried in modules after they worked last year. Still will sow a row of dwarf French beans direct soon. Yep. I very rarely sow anything direct, as I've said, but I'm making the most. I make the most of it. I will sow some in the veggie pod. Thinking about it, just because the veggie pod is great for the dwarfing varieties. Rob says I've not got all my spuds in yet. I've got a few left actually. These are going to be for my seed saving. Well, I grow a few spuds separately to save them purely for seed. I've got to get those in still. But my potatoes are, or my eating potatoes, if you like, are all up and growing except for one that's out here. They're not doing anything yet, which I'm a little bit worried about, but we'll see. Off subject, do peas like lots of water or not? I say they like lots of water, but it's about getting the water at the right time. When they're young, they love lots of water, in my personal experience. But we'll throw that out there and see if anybody else has any thoughts on that as well. Now, I have had a couple of photos come in for your harvests. These are the food that you have harvested over this last week. And it came in from Nigel, Muddy Boots. He's got this lot. We can see some leeks, some carrots amongst that. Looks absolutely delicious and really nice to still be harvesting carrots, isn't it? These are the leeks after he has given them a good wash. They look really, really tasty. Really tasty. I've got to say, I think it's great that we're still able to harvest leeks this late. But it's been such a good year for the leeks, I think. Well, it has been in my experience anyway. Don't forget, if you want to feature your harvests, just send in a photo of what you've harvested in this week. It always goes down well. Nigel says to Ian about the peas, after they have germinated, too much on the seed and they may rot. Yes, they do like lots of water after they have germinated. Bethan says, I've still got some spuds to plant in pots too. Weather has been against us this year. It has been. It's still sunny out there today. We had a bit of rain today. Yesterday was overcast but dry. No, yesterday was sunny and dry. Friday was weird. I wasn't at home, obviously. I was down in the New Forest, but it was sunny, but the odd wind. Toby Stream says, I'm with Nicolette and doing a minimum on the plot this year, concentrated on my neglected home garden this year. I'm not pressuring myself to grow massive amounts as there is only me to feed. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That does make sense. I think one of the things I've always said when it comes to gardening and grow your own, don't pressure yourself. Concentrate on what you want to concentrate on, grow what you want to grow, and more importantly, enjoy it. I think that's the important thing, is that we all enjoy our gardening. I, for one, love it. And I would be out there every hour of the day if I could. Hargrave Gas, quick question from me. I've never pinched out peppers and chilies. Should I do this? What is everyone's opinion on pinching out? I'm scared I'm going to damage the plant. If your chilies, your peppers are, I don't know, let's say 45 centimeters tall, 1.5 feet, then it probably is worth pinching out to try and get bushier. If they are young, if they are short, then I don't think it is worth it, in my opinion. A lot of it does depend on the weather. If we get a decent hot season, then they will probably grow, and that's where it's worth pinching them out. Try and make them bushier and produce more fruits. If we've had a cold season, then it's not worth pinching them out. The reason being is that they're trying to grow. They're not going to reach that 45 centimeter anyway, so they're going to try and put a lot more energy into producing fruits anyway. So that's my opinion on that. It does depend on the season, and this year I don't know how to call it just yet. It's been very wet, very cold so far, but I suspect that means we're going to have a hot summer. You were so right with the weather, but health has also affected me this year. Indeed, it is. All these things are affecting people. Ballycillion at this. No, I don't know if I should say this. We haven't seen him for the last couple of weeks. I haven't seen him today. He messaged me a couple of weeks ago saying he was going into hospital for heart surgery. He messaged me on Friday to say he was back at home. He didn't want to say anything in the show because he didn't want to bring the show down. But I've sort of said we're all friends here. We're happy to help. So that's why I'm bringing it up and saying Ballycillian has had heart surgery. He is home. He's popped down to the allotment, I believe. He is over it. Oh, not over it, but he's in recovery. If you're wondering why we haven't seen him, that's why. Great Leaks, Nigel, says Bethan. Look tasty, don't they? Turbo Streamer says, I can't keep up with the brilliant YouTubers this year, so I will relax and be happy with anything I can grow. This year's just been a funny year, and it's not a competition. The YouTubers and Instagrammers and Facebookers, podcasters, and all that stuff, they're making content. They want to show what they're doing, but it's not a competition at the end of the day. We're all doing our own thing. There's myself, I'm on the South Coast, and I normally do things a lot earlier than most other people. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's a difference of opinion. So I've got an itchy nose again. It's all different. And it's about working with what you've got, what you're doing, and make yourself happy is what I'm saying. Bethan says to Rob, sorry you are still not well indeed, and Nigel is in the same boat. I hope you are all okay. Hope you are all okay. Turbo Stream says, my peppers are still seedlings, so we'll give up on them. I wouldn't give up on them just yet. I think it is just a little cold for them. Once that warm weather, which I'm expecting any moment now, once we get rid of this cloud, basically, those peppers, those chilies will suddenly grow on. And we get longer days, which we're getting now. It's just about it being a bit warmer for them. So don't give up on them just yet. They will get there. I do think it will get there. Rob's sister Nigel, if this is getting older, well, what's next? Retirement. And Rob also says, if you see him again, sending my regards to Belly, I will do. He might be watching and staying quiet because it's hard for him, of course. Get better soon, Belly, at Bally, and send Bally our best wishes too, please, Richard. Get well soon, Belly. Yeah, will do. He said he was okay for everybody to know, so he just didn't want to bring the show down, as you know. You know how I get when we get bad news and things like that sometimes. I take it, not personally, but I take it very seriously. And I think Bally knew that, but he's doing okay. That's the important thing. He is doing okay. And he will be back. He has been to the allotment. And I said, this is what we're all here for. We're all here to help people out like that and get around each other and have a chat. Just going to have a quick check on Instagram. I haven't checked that for a while. Nothing going on over there. It's a shame Facebook have stopped getting or stopped allowing face pages in Facebook groups. Sorry. Stuart also says, get well soon, Bally. Will we miss your input? Take your time. Indeed. Now, for next week, the sew along is going to be a sweet corn. This is our seed of the week, a seed of the month, sorry, in partnership with Premier Seeds. So you'll hear it on the podcast tomorrow, but we're going to be sowing those sweet corn on the camera for you as well. So look forward to doing that. But you do need to set me a mission. You need a challenge or something I can do over this next week to really get my challenge going. We have got some photos to go through as well. Let's have a look at your photos, as always. These are photos that have either been posted in our Facebook group or sent to me via social media or anything like that. We always do love having a good look at your photos. Always does fill us up with quite a bit of happiness. Bedos has sown some peas in this pot. He's in Spain at the moment. So, you know, looking good. Hopefully he's going to get some peas out of it. I believe Bedos does quite enjoy his peas, or his grandkids does, I should say. Kate is hunting some terracotta pots. She's been going to a few of the reclaim stores, I think it was, she said, or places like that. I was also going to say, I was also going to suggest having a look at car boots and places like that as well. Can sometimes sell some terracotta pots. I do like terracotta pots. I think they're better than plastic. It's just a shame they're expensive, heavy, and don't store as well. But Never mind that. Never mind that. Scott has got some sheep in his allotment. Now, I don't know if this is in his actual allotment site or in a field nearby. I haven't seen him tonight, but where have I? I'm not sure. But these are sheep. I look at it as being manure, a supply for manure, as well as chomping on all that grass and reducing weeds. Let's just hope it's not in his actual allotment, though. The chilies plot shot. Each month, at the beginning of the month, we want to see what your plot looks like, and this is what the chilies plot looks like. I saw those on Friday. I know they're not here tonight, but they're looking good, actually. It's still on that cusp, like all of us, where we're just waiting for things to go in. Now, Charlotte, all the way down in Guernsey, she's got strawberries in hanging baskets, something I do myself. Looking really, really good. And so good to see some strawberries that are just ripening. They're ready for the picking. I can't wait to get some strawberries. They're late this year again, aren't they? Late, or they are for me anyway. Now, Chili Phil, he brought some interesting plants. This is from Jurassic Plants at Bewley, Gardener's World Spring Fair. I think it's a citrus plant, a nutmeg plant, and I can't remember what the other one was, but some good selections. I've got quite a few from Jurassic Park over the years that are doing quite well. Now, Stuart has got his supporters pack. They were sent out this week, beginning of the week. For those that don't know, I run the supporters club that helps keep the podcast, the live stream running. And you get each month you get a collection of seeds that's sent to your door and this newsletter. There was a bit of a debate last week, bit of an argument about posting pictures of the seeds. What's going on here? Hang on. Let me find out. Start cam. Wrong one. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. There's a bit of debate. I've spoken to those that were complaining about it, and we've sort of said unwritten rule: wait until the first week. So, Stuart, I've spoken about it. If you want to post them after the 7th, then please do go ahead. Ian was also at Spring Fair. As I said, he saw Francis Topel on a stage at there. The person in front was actually it was interesting. I've never seen this before, but they had somebody doing the sign language for those who have hard of hearing. I thought that was a great thing. It's just a shame she wasn't able to do every single talk, or there was more people unable, more sign language people on all the things. Now, Tim has got ladybirds taking care of the black fly on the broad beans. I've said, isn't nature fantastic for doing that? Isn't nature fantastic? It would those ladybirds would just devour all those black fly. And now Jenny, she got a gift from Scott as well. She was after some Jerusalem artichokes, which Scott very kindly potted up and sent her. As I said, we are a group, a community. If anybody does want plants, please feel free to ask for it. The only thing I say is be careful who you hand your address out to. But that's between you, and I'm not taking any responsibility. Don't put your address in the group or in public is the other thing I would say. There we go. Now, Steve Digwell, this is his plot shot for the first of the month as well. Again, looking good. And I've seen a lot of straw bales. He's really going all out on the straw bales this year. Interesting stuff going ahead there. The Nicola, she has potted up or planted up her potatoes and garlic. I believe, and I'm hoping she's going to correct me on this, the garlic and potatoes are all in the same pot. Interesting experiment. It'll be interesting to see how it works out. Please do keep, I don't know if you could hear Roxy there. Please do keep sharing your photos. You can post them in our Facebook group, send to me via social media, or email me, richard@veggroundpodcast.co.uk. That's richard@veggroundpodcast.co.uk. Excuse me. Right, where were we? Mission of the week, send some good weather to us all. Might be tricky, might be a bit tricky, but I can try. Your mission for this week is to find out what's wrong with your mower. I kind of know what's wrong. I kind of know what's wrong. Um, we could do that. We could do that actually. Like, if everyone agrees with that, we will see what you come back with. Repair my mower. Stuart Jackson says, done my sweet corn yesterday, some for school and some for me. I have to stay one step ahead of the children. Yeah, yeah. Sweet corn, I grow a lot of sweet corn and I want to grow a lot of sweet corn. So it should be a good one. I've been the slacker on the photos this year, says TurboStream. TurboStream, please do keep posting more and more photos. We'd love to see them, as always, because we love our photos. We do love our photos. And I think sometimes it's just a good encouragement to get out and do something when you take a photo. I mean, you know, I'm keen on my photography. I don't do enough of it. One of the things I realised is that if I take my camera along, I take photos of my allotment, I see things in the photo that I don't see at the time, which can be a good thing. And it is a good thing all around, but sometimes it's something that needs attention that I didn't see at the time. My ADD brain blocks things out that I can't process at that time. So taking a photo, when I get it back on my computer, I see it and I'm like, right, I need to pay attention to that. Rob says, I want a money plant. Don't we all? Don't we all? Money would grow on trees. That would be great. Been 31 today. First time I've been out without a sweatshirt on, says Ian. But he's in Spain, in Malaga, is it? Enjoying the weather as well. Turbo Extreme says, how big does the sweet corn grow, Richard, the Supporters Club one? I might have a crack at that if I can direct so. Early bird, I think from memory, they're a dwarfing one, probably about 3-4 foot tall, if I remember correctly. They're a good one, though. They are a good one, and they're an early one, so you should get a decent crop out of them just because they are early. Nigel says he's got a money plant, but it never fruits. It never does it? It never does. Kate says, was somebody after butterbeans last week? I'm sure I said I'd send someone. There was somebody after butterbeans. I'm sure there was. I can't remember who it was. Kate says, yay, Roxy. If you had heard her, you wouldn't have thought that. Yes, both in one plot. That photo from Nicola, there were garlic and potatoes growing in each pot. Interesting. I'd be interested in what is going on. Challenge, try grafting 2 plants. I like that challenge. I like that challenge, actually. I do like that challenge. Try grafting. I'd like that challenge. That would be a good one, actually. Sorry, Ian. I'm going to push your lawnmower one to the back, and we're going to try grafting 2 plants. What I remember, there was a suggestion for topics to discuss. Can anybody remember one of the topics that we thought we might do in the future? I think, Nigel, you came up with one, and I think Idaho had an idea as well, or somebody else. I never got an email about them, but if anybody can suggest a topic, I've got an idea for next week, but I thought I'd see what it was. Hiya, Roxy, is it tea time? No, she's just been a brat lately. I agree with Muddy Boots for the challenge. Try grafting. Okay. Grafting is a good challenge. I've seen grafted tomatoes. We're going to do the grafting then. We are going to do the grafting. Turbo Stream says, I meant to take a picture of my bean frame, but totally forgot and only remember when I got home. LOL. Please do. We'd love to see your photos, Turbo. Always love to see them. Been 20 degrees C for the past 2 days here. Yeah, it's been about that sort of temperature here as well. It's just not as high as I would normally expect to see. We normally have a bit of a heat wave in May. I can't remember. Yeah, no, normally have a heat wave in May. I can't see it happening this year, though. Bedo says, just out of the hills from Malaga, watch bargain hunting Brits in the sun as they film in a village in Sado Park. Lovely, lovely. Can you send some of that sun our way, though? Because I think, excuse me, we would love it here in the UK, Ian. Grafton is a good challenge. I think I read that one, actually. Nigel says, topic, our choice of gardening methods and the pitfalls and benefits. That sounds like a good subject. Was that one of the ones he suggested? As I said, I do have a memory like a sieve sometimes. But choice of gardening methods and the pitfalls and benefits. I think that's actually a really good subject. Actually, could it be no dig and or what's the other word? No dig or conventional gardening or pots or things like that. Martin Keenan says garden architecture, frames, tripods, etc. That's a good thing as well. I'd like to see photos for that. That would be one we need a lot of photos on. We can do it. Ian says grafting is a good one. You will need some grafting tape. I will. Indeed, I will. I remember years and years ago, it's when I lived in my flat front, so it shows how long ago it was. I had this tomato plant that I accidentally broke the stem off while I was doing something, and I panicked. I didn't have any grafting tape to hand, but I did have sellotape. I put this, I tied this snap stem back together with sellotape, and it worked. It worked. It healed, and we got tomatoes out of it. I was very, very surprised, but it worked. It worked. Rod says we had rain on Friday. We had a bit of rain today, not much, but we did have rain. Friday was awful, but Saturday and Sunday was nice. We do seem to really want some good weather at the moment. The weather is a hot topic. Ian says it's rained each day since we arrived last week. So glad of some sun. I've seen some photos of Ian. I mean, this is in Spain, but the Ian's getting. I've seen photos where Ian has had floods outside his front door in Spain. So it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Chili Kate, hi everyone. Just popped in from the party to check on you. I'm with Martin on the topic. Would be very useful at this time of year. I like it. I think we're going to do the gardening methods next week, but the garden architecture and frames and tripods we can do the following week. If somebody can take a note and send me these notes, that would be most useful. As I said, I do have a tendency to forget. I need a producer or somebody to take these notes down for me. But if you can remind me and write it down, email me it. I think that's what we can do because I like the subject a lot, and I want to do more with frames and tripods as well. So definitely something I'd like to do more of. Turbo Stream says the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. Indeed. Kate says I did an apple tree grafting workshop, bringing it home, and it's just started blossoming. Can we get some photos and videos of that then, please, Kate? By the way, I know I often say this to you all. I would like to see more of your plots, not just photos but videos as well, just so we can show off to each other how our allotments and things are going, as well as get a bit of help. It's always good to get videos, particularly we have the ability to play any videos, so it would be great to get those. Dig versus no dig. Yeah, I mean, that falls into the category that we're going to discuss next week of what's your gardening method and why. Net covers versus natural predators, indeed. Richard, watch the replay. But then I can't watch your videos if I'm watching my own videos. That's the trouble. I only got a few hours each day. I can't watch your videos if I'm watching my own videos. And surely you want the watch time on yours, not on mine. That's how I'm selling it. Turbo Stream says, I forget soon as the stream finishes. Honestly, I do as well. I can only describe it. It's ADD. So many things going on. Rain in Spain fell on our car all the way from the top to bottom of Spain. Turbo Stream says, often replay the end of a stream to remind me what is coming up as I forget. I do exactly the same sometimes as well, believe it or not. So next week, we're sowing sweet corn. We're going to say this now. Sowing sweet corn. We are going to be talking about garden methods, what you do and why, what works for you. And we're going to be grafting some plants as well. This is all good fun. This is why I love it when you guys come up with subjects, come up with challenges for things that we can do together. And it really does make the show quite nicely. I'm trying to think, have I got any homework or anything that I need to run with you guys? I think we're pretty much on top of everything at the moment. Have I asked you to like? I think I have, but I'm going to ask you again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and click the notifications so you know when we go live. It helps the algorithms out, helps us get found, and helps us get more and more people to do it. Nigel says, the pencil you don't use a dib at, use it to make notes now. So here's the thing. If I try and write things down, I can't talk to you. This is my ADD brain. I cannot do two things at once. I can only write things down one at a time or do one thing at once. So trying to write things down and talk to you is just nigh on impossible. Bethan says, I might not be here next week as going to Malvern and it's a long trek back. Enjoy Malvern. I really want to go to Malvern again. I went to their, was it 2019, I think? Really good show. I know that's on next weekend because it's Manda's birthday around that same time. I'm a little bit stuck because she wants to celebrate her birthday. Malvern is great, though. Malvern is absolutely brilliant. I really do want to go back one year. It's an RHS show. It's about the only RHS show that I would go to. But did they do anything at press event? I know Gone as well do, but I don't recall seeing them doing anything at press event. Those that went to press event anyway. Ian Bennett say, do they grow peas in Spain? Been in 4 supermarkets and can't get any. Hoping I might get some without the grandkids eating them first. You tell me. I've never been to Spain, believe it or not. I've never been to Spain, so I don't know if they have peas. They must do because it's used in paella. Unless there's something we've added, but they do add peas in paella. So I'm guessing that they have peas growing in Spain. You tell me. You tell me. I've never been there myself. No, I don't remember them being at the press event. I don't think that they are either. I don't think I've ever seen the RHS at press event, which I think is losing out. Nigel says, surprise Amanda, surprise visit to the Malvern show. I'm tempted to do that. Then we got to pop Roxy in a kennels for the weekend as well. Yeah, I might try it one year. Rob says frozen ones, talking about peas in Spain. I'm guessing they must have peas in Spain, but I'll be intrigued indeed. Anybody else going to Malvern next week? And if you are going and you've got enough time, it'd be good to get a little video, some sort of taster video of what's going on there. Let me know. Bethan says lots of YouTubers are meeting up next Sunday at Malvern. It doesn't surprise me. There's often a meet up at these shows, but it said we had a meet up with Bewley. Lots of stuff going on. Yes, Malvern for me. I really do want to go. You're making me quite jealous talking about it, but hey, that's the joy. If we could spend all our time going to these garden shows, I wouldn't have any time for work I wouldn't have time. If I could go to every single garden show, which I would love to do, I wouldn't be able to work or spend time in the garden. And I got to pay the bills somehow, and I got to do the gardening somehow. So That's the trouble. I go to the autumn one. Yeah, I think I'm told that's better for veg. It's quite a long way away from me as well, but I'd love to go. Love to go. Um, yes, it was 2019 when you went to Malvern. That was my last show garden. I thought so. I thought it was 2019. My last show. Was it really 5 years ago? I really do need to get to it, don't I? And Bethan's just said there's tickets still available. Do you think I could persuade Amanda? See what I can do. It won't be on Sunday, unfortunately, because I've got to do this show on Sunday, so I won't be able to go on a Sunday. But hey ho, hey ho. Right, guys, we've got about 2 minutes left of this show, so it's time to start winding down. It's been a really good conversation again, talking about the tools that we don't like or don't use. And I think there's lots of tools that we don't use, and the one that stuck out to me is the garden blower. I think that's the one that people, or the common one that seems to be that, or the half moon, and various things like that. The next Sunday, 6 o'clock, we're going to go live. If you are here and not at a show or anything like that, we're going to be sowing sweet corn. We're going to be grafting a plant or 2 plants, and we're going to be talking about what style of gardening or garden method do you do and why. So we're going to start wrapping this up. Nigel says, challenge for next week, convince Amanda to go to Malvern. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work at all. On the Sunday, I think Rob says there. Kate says, have a lovely week all. Indeed, do have a lovely week. Please do share your photos and share your videos. It's always good to see. Thomas Stream says, be the last live if a surprise Malvern goes ahead. Richard will be grounded. I would be. I'm not going to do it. Spring Rob. Oh, okay. Have a great week, everyone. Says Turbo Stream. We'll take photos if anything happens with seeds. Please do. We'd love to see them. Highgrave Gas says, thanks for another great chat. See you next week. Night all, praying the pigs don't escape, aren't we all? Cheers. See you all. Rob says, autumn is more popular with the YouTubers. Cheers all. Happy gardening. And Stuart says, thanks, everyone. See you all next week. Thanks so much, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure seeing you again. I think we have done everything. Anybody who wants to add anything, let us get in touch. My email address is richard@veggroundpodcast.co.uk. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. You take care. I'll see you again next time.